Hey guys, if anyone's watching this live, it took a couple minutes to load there, so I'm a couple minutes late. Sorry about that. But before I even start, I just want to let you guys know that my webcomic that I've been working on for a while now, it has officially launched. So there's now the first chapter cover and the first 2 pages are up. The link is in the description, of course. It's called Kingdom Come. If you watch my collaborative channel, Charlie the Burrow, I've been talking about it there and showing some behind the scenes stuff. So yeah, that's up over there if you're interested. And that will be updating every Tuesday and Thursday. So it's a long running comic and you can read it for free online. So advertising stuff done. The first thing I wanted to do was watch the full version of the new Hanataba PV video. Okay, one more advertising thing. I did do a reaction video to the short version of the new video that came out yesterday. However, it was blocked by YouTube copyright, their auto detection system, I think. And I tried a million times to get it to upload to YouTube, and I was editing the video different ways, and I just couldn't get it through, so I gave up, and I uploaded it on my Facebook. And again, there's a link to that in the description down below if you want to see that. But now the full video has come out, and again, it is in the description if you want to watch that as well. I'm going to watch it now and kind of give you my thoughts on it. I'm not going to share the video and audio with you guys watching because I don't want this video to get taken down or flagged. So what I'm going to do is just, I have the video queued up in another tab, and if you guys want to watch along, you can do the same thing. So yeah, I don't think anyone, oh, Jake is here. Hey Jake, thank you for stopping by. Oh, actually it says there's 5 people watching. I'm kind of surprised by that because I sort of set this up last minute in a way. Well, I set up a couple of hours ago, but it was like in the middle of the night Japan time. So yeah, so hopefully you guys have the video queued up now. It is on a site called J-Pop Asia. I'm sure it's hosted on Dailymotion, so it's probably on a few different sites, but that's the one that I originally found it on. Oh, Jake, you're up at 5 a.m. Like you haven't gone to sleep yet? That's rough, dude. So let's watch the video. And if you're watching along, I'll just do a countdown in 3, 2, 1. I wasn't over the play button. Play. Okay, so I've already seen the first 2 minutes. That was in the short version yesterday. She looks really pretty, like I was saying in my video yesterday. She doesn't age. She looks the same as she did when she was 18. And the video's in black and white, and black and white makes everyone look a little better, but makes her look really good. So anyone who's just joined, we're watching the new Utada Hikaru video. I'm just not sharing it through my stream because I don't want it to be blocked. On the floor. If you guys saw my video yesterday, you know what? I shouldn't have said it was so sexy because it is like a sad song and she's trying to act sad, but it's kind of provocative for her. Like usually she doesn't even show like her whole body, and like you can see like her back under her shirt and stuff. So I was like, oh my God. I saw on Twitter earlier today that she actually cries in this video, and I'm nervous because Kodokumi always makes me cry when she cries, and I don't think I've ever seen Utada like outright cry. except maybe during the wildlife concert, she was, you can tell she was really crying, but you could tell she was holding back tears. She was kind of getting choked up. And I was crying through like half of that concert anyway. So, okay, so now we're coming up to the new part that we haven't seen yet. Video, she's wearing rings that her mother gave her when she was younger. Okay, when she looks up like that, she looks exactly like how she did when she was really young, like when she was 18. No, she is crying. It seems like she's really expressing her frustration and her inability to talk to her mom again and tell her how she feels now. And that's the end. Okay, so I really like the video, like I said yesterday. It's really beautifully done, and it's still simple, but it keeps your attention. And honestly, the crying, like, it didn't really get to me. It was just like one single tear. There was one part where it looked like she had like a lip tremble going on, and that was sad. That made me really sad. But kind of noticed in that version a bit more the apartment where they're filming. It looks like an apartment, but it kind of looks like an interesting sort of European style apartment. Yeah, so if you haven't watched my video from yesterday, you can go ahead and do that. I don't want to repeat myself too much from that. But now I'm just sort of wondering if there will be any more videos for this album. I'm sure there will be, or if there will be another video for Manatsu no Toriyame, just because, you know, we thought we'd only got that one video before that she wasn't in for this song, and now like there's a surprise new video. So yeah, that's cool. It's just kind of a shame that there's no Blu-ray version of the album. So apparently the videos are going to be available on iTunes, but iTunes tends to be like a low res version, low quality video. So if there was a Blu-ray of the videos, that would be really cool. But Utada never ever has put out alternate versions of her albums. It's always just like the standard CD album. That's it. She never puts out like DVD, like collector's edition, like fan club editions, like all the other J-pop divas seem to do. So yeah, moving on to the next topic, something I really, really wanted to talk about when I saw it was Utada recently did an interview in Japanese, and I should have linked to that as well, but I think I just linked to the translated bits. So yeah, it was a Japanese interview where she kind of went on at length about the album, and a bunch of topics surrounding that. And U.Blog is, I talk about their Twitter a lot on my channel, and I've linked to that down below as well. Oh, I keep burping, I'm disgusting, sorry. So U.Blog is an English Utada Hikaru news source, and I found out about the article from them first of all. So I used just the browser translator, like I use Chrome, so I think it's Google Translate. So like obviously the text is really bad that comes out of that, but there's a couple key points to that I was able to read that was about Utada Hikaru's feelings, where you know she has a new child, and when she sees her baby smile, it makes her really happy, but then she immediately thinks about how her mom will never see her son, and how that conflicting emotion is something she's tried to convey in her new music. Yeah, what else? So definitely check that article out if you haven't already. It's pretty interesting because she hasn't really been doing any interviews. She appeared in PMC magazine a while ago, right before the 2 new songs came out. But I haven't seen too many excerpts from that. So what U.Blog has done is they, I always say they when I refer to them because I don't know exactly who is behind that account. I don't know if it's one person or many people, and they don't post any like personal things on there. I just need a sip of my tea. I almost always drink with straws, unless it's just plain water. If you guys are wondering why I always have straws on my live streams. So yeah, the excerpts I've also linked down below. Everything is in the description, so make sure you check that if you're looking for any of these sources. So when they do a longer post, they use their TwitLonger page or account. I don't know how the site works, but yeah, so I just want to go through this with you guys because it's really interesting. So the first sentence she says here, translated sentence, is she knew that she wanted this album to be in memory of her mother, and felt that English wouldn't fit, but also felt that Japanese would be too heavy, and thought French would fit well. So I said this before, but if you guys didn't know, Utada actually studied French several years ago. Her song "Hymne à l'amour," I think it's called, came out of that, and she's a fan of Edith Piaf, whom she sampled for that song. So I'm not sure if she still studies French, but yeah, so that kind of explains where the album title came in. We're getting the sense that she is staying away from using English in this album. And did you talk about that later? Okay. Yeah, it does come up later. So yeah, that reminds me of another thing I saw in the sort of translated Google Translate version of the interview, was that Utada went to this photographer for her album art because you know, if she had gone to someone in Japan, she'd be treated like a celebrity. But when she was saying that when she went to France, I think it was Paris, to shoot for the album, that she was just a girl to the photographer. And I guess she liked that experience. That was the feeling she wanted to convey through it. And yeah, I really like it. As I said before, I really like the album cover. Okay, I'm like out of breath. I usually never ever talk. Like I'm usually just alone in my room and stuff. So yeah. Continuing on. The positive reaction to Hanataba Kimi and Manatsu no Toriyame had a big impact on the second half of her songwriting. listeners caught onto her paying respects to her mother, which forced her to really make sure that the album as a whole wouldn't be something that would paint mud on her mother's face. Yeah, so I mean, I did review both of those songs rather, and it's pretty apparent that that was the theme, and that seemed to be the general consensus from all the fans. So yeah, I guess it's nice that she was keeping her mother's reputation in mind. I know at the time of her mother's suicide, there was tabloids in Japan talking about how it was her fault that her mom had committed suicide, and it had been about money and their arguments about money. And yeah, I can see that it's important to her to stay true to their relationship and not necessarily speak ill of the dead, I guess. Then she says, there are very few English words or phrases on the album. She used to rely on English phrases when she didn't want to sing about things too directly. This time she only wanted to sing beautiful Japanese lyrics. Okay, so that's what I was talking about before, and myself and a lot of other fans noticed that she hadn't used any English in the singles we've heard so far of this album, which is somewhat unusual for J-pop, and it's somewhat unusual for her as well. And what's interesting about this statement is that I've heard other artists say that when they write in English or use English phrases, it's because they say things more directly in English, and like Japanese is too polite and ambiguous. So I find it interesting that she wanted to hide, well, I wouldn't say hide, I guess. She didn't want to rely on English phrases. She used to rely on English phrases when she didn't want to sing about things too directly. So she feels like she's being more direct by using Japanese. And she wanted to sing beautiful Japanese lyrics. I agree that Japanese as a language is really beautiful in song. I think it's beautiful when spoken and written and everything too. And I remember when Sakura Nagashi came out that she had said that she got several compliments on that song and her use of Japanese in that. And it seemed like she had kind of advanced in her Japanese writing. Not that she wasn't fluent in Japanese before, but she kind of leveled up in a way. She had become like a master songwriter at that point. And yeah, it's nice to know that that will be carried throughout most of this album as well. The photographer Julianne Mignol was a friend of Utada's prior to the album shoot. It was the first time that she selected the director and artist herself. That's interesting. I would have thought Utada Hikaru would have had more of a creative hold on her career before then, but I guess that a lot of stuff came down to her record label and other people involved. So actually, I'm surprised to know that. I didn't know before that she wasn't in control of that. Hello to Sully, Thomas, Di Momiko, and Becky. Hello, thank you for joining. Okay, so if you're wondering what I'm reading, it's in the links down below if you just joined. I mean, in the video description, the links down below. Okay, so then Utada actually went through each track off of the album. Well, the album tracks, like excluding Hanataba and Manatsu. So the first track is Michi, which translates to road, and is apparently a dance style of track. And she said she wanted the first song to reiterate that she's doing okay. So to me, that's saying that the rest of the album coming up is going to be very, very dark and depressing. God, I need tea again. Oh, Thomas is saying it's interesting because English is like a part of her, and because she's grown up in the States. And yeah, I agree with her, and I was also surprised that there was no English on the album for that reason. And it seems like her promotion for this album has been kind of exclusive to the Japanese market. Like, there hasn't been a ton of English tweets from her staff. I noticed they both tweeted in English either today or yesterday, but up until then, there hadn't been like hardly any English promo for this album. So I've been heavily relying on U.Blog to sort of come through with the news on that. And I mean, a couple times I have been able to interpret the news myself with my own knowledge of Japanese. But anyway, I'm going off on a tangent now. So yeah, she's starting off the album with a more upbeat song. You know, just so you don't completely want to die while you're listening to this album, I guess. Like, start off on a high note and sort of like gently let the listeners down. Then she says, outside of Michi, she wanted the arrangements to be on the quieter side so that her voice and words would be front and center. That's really cool. That's something I wasn't totally expecting either, because it seemed like she was very experimental with her music leading up to this album. On the second singles collection, the original mini album that came with that seemed like a good mix of different types of music. And then, of course, on Ultra Blue, the sound is very like experimental and layered, and it's very original and timeless to me. But it seems like she's taking a sort of classical approach to this album, and I know some people will be disappointed with that. I've gotten a couple comments from people saying that they don't like the sound of the new singles. They're too acoustic sounding, and they want her to do like her old R&B music, or they want her to do like more of an experimental sound. I personally really, really like her sound on Ultra Blue the best. It's my favorite album by her. I think the arrangements on that album are just absolutely genius. But that being said, I don't think this album will be bad in any way at all. And yeah, so I think that's very maybe bold of her to say that she wants the words to be front and center. Hello, Momo Cat Love. Thank you for joining. And I kind of appreciate that in a way. And, you know, she kind of picked her battle in a way that she really made this album to present her thoughts and her feelings, and that's why she wanted to make sure her voice was the focal point. Okay, so Ore no Kanojo, and in this case, U.Blog has translated that title to My Gal. And I talked about this title a little bit in my reaction to the original track listings when they first came out. And so ore is generally a male pronoun, meaning my, and then kanojo often is used to mean girlfriend, like boyfriend and girlfriend scenario. And I kind of speculated in that video that maybe this was like her bisexual coming out song, because a few years ago there was some rumors that she was bisexual and she was dating Sheena Ringo. So what U.Blog has translated from this interview is that she considers the song to not be PG-13 and more R-rated. It's very adult themed. The song includes some French words. So, as we know, French is one of the Romance languages, and I'm guessing that this song is not going to be about just a friend. Oh, hello, Becca. Thank you for coming. And Sully, I don't remember if I said Sully before, but thank you for coming out to the stream. Yeah, so a lot of people are thinking that it is going to be, including myself, I'm thinking it's going to be like a lesbian theme song. And, you know, as someone else on my Tumblr pointed out, that she's never written a song from the point of view of a man. So, like, why would she start at this album? maybe there's some people who think she might just be using ore as her own perspective. And like I was saying in my other video, that some women use like the male pronoun sometimes, like boku. So it's possible that ore is referring to herself. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the song. I'm really, really curious about it. Next is another song I'm super curious about, and that is Ningyo, which means mermaid. And this one I was curious about before too, saying that I wasn't sure if she was referring to herself or her mother or someone. Okay, so Justin, thank you for coming out in the chat, is saying, will she ever return to making English songs? She hasn't said, so I think it's safe to say that she will, because she is bilingual, so I can't imagine that she would just never want to write in English again. That was how her English albums got started with Exodus, was that she wrote a song in English, and yeah, so then the albums kind of unraveled from there. But yeah, I would love if she did another English album. And yeah, like Ningyo is, it sounds like Ningyo Hime by Kodakumi. It's one of my favorite songs by Kodakumi as well. But it says in the description that Ningyo on this album will be acoustic. It was written at a point after her mother's death where Utada wasn't sure if she could write music again. That is really sad to kind of picture her in that moment. For creative people, when you get to the point where you can't make your craft anymore, if you can't create anymore, it means you're pretty much at like the bottom of a depression well. So I'm really glad that she's kind of come back from that. I'm really, really glad. Hello, shouts out to Berenger, thank you for stopping by, and Galactic Nova, thank you for coming out. Okay, continuing on. She picked up a guitar and the song came to her. The lyrics didn't come to her for a very long time, and was actually influenced by seeing the paper cutout MV, which stands for music video, for Hanataba PV. So that's interesting. She came up with the music first, and then after a while she wrote the words to it. I always assumed that they kind of went hand in hand. Like, I've never written a song before, but I always assumed that you would think of like a general idea for the song and then come up with like a melody and then start writing the lyrics, and then at the end add in like the details of the song. I'm sure every artist is different who makes their own music. So yeah, it's hard to say. Ningyo is acoustic, so I find it interesting. Like when I first heard Ningyo, that was the name of the track, I pictured it being like a really dark song. So maybe that will still come through in an acoustic song. I'm not sure. It might be kind of folksy, like a folk song. She's bringing through this like legend of mermaid. Yeah, so I'm really interested to hear that, and also read the lyric translation. Okay, tea break. Next track is Koya no Okami, Wolf of the Wilderness. And it says it was inspired by Hermann Hesse's Steppenwolf. I have heard that so many times, but it doesn't come to mind what that actually is. Rika is saying in the chat, sounds like this whole album will be a very personal experience for the listener in connecting with Utada. Yeah, I agree. I'm expecting this to be the most like deep and like depressing, heart-wrenching album she's ever done, and not really a pop album. So let's just look up Steppenwolf really fast so we can understand what this song could be about. Of course, the band is the first thing that comes up. Okay. Steppenwolf is a novel by German Swiss author Hermann Hesse. I'm probably not saying that right. Thomas, if you're still in the chat, maybe you can correct me. The story in large part reflects a profound crisis in Hesse's spiritual world during the 1920s, while memorably portraying the protagonist's split between his humanity and his wolf-like aggression and homelessness. Hesse would later assert that the book was largely misunderstood. Okay. Let's go to plot summary. That is long. Okay. So sounds like it is the basis of it is spiritual split. And that could be something inspired by her mother's death that seems to happen to a lot of people who go through a great loss or a great tragedy. They have a kind of period where they are questioning if they have a faith, they're questioning their faith. If not that, they might be questioning the meaning of life, their own beliefs just surrounding what they do every day. So I have a feeling that's the basis for this song. And U.Blog goes on to say it includes very noticeable breathing sounds. That I found interesting as well, because if you guys remember was it in Hanataba? One of the songs I mentioned in my reviews. Oh, Thomas is saying he thinks I pronounced it correctly. Okay, good. So in one of the songs, I mentioned that it sounds like she sampled the same breathing sound she used in Sakura Drops, where it's kind of like a big exhale noise. If you guys have seen the Utada United performance of Sakura Drops, she uses that sample quite a bit more in the opening verse. So you'll get a good listen to that sound if you don't know what I mean. So yeah, I'm wondering, I'm just getting more and more curious. Like it's really fun to be able to read these details about the songs, but it's making me more more curious about the album, and I just really want to hear it. I want to know if they're like aggressive breathing noises, or I'm guessing they're somewhat aggressive because it says very noticeable. And she felt that Sakura Nagashi had to be the final track. This is the first time that she's done the entire track ordering by herself. Again, another thing I never would have guessed. I thought she would be, since she had written the songs rather, that she would have a certain way in mind that she would want them all to line up together in the track progression. The Galactic Nova says United Tour is the best. Yes, it is my favorite live show. But yeah, I would have thought that my rabbit's playing with the blinds. Don't, no. I would have thought that she would have had more control over that in the track progression. Either way, I don't have any complaints about her track list and her previous albums. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see how this one is fit together. But I'm also really glad that she has gained more creative control this time around. Now that I've read this, knowing that she didn't have that before for whatever reason. Yeah, that's really cool, I think. Thomas says, it's a good idea, though, if you look at the lyrics, however great the fear, I will not look away. If at the end of everything there is love. Yeah, so that's the last lyric of Sakura Nagashi, I believe, and that is a really good way to end the album. Even though it seems kind of anticlimactic, maybe to some people, to me it did, like looking at the track list for the first time and seeing that the very ending of this album, which has had such a big lead up to, that the very ending of the album would be a track we heard several years ago. But it does have a profound meaning to her, so I don't have a problem with that, and I think it'll be a fitting ending track, even though it's like the most depressing song of all time. You can just start listening to the album again and go back to the upbeat Michi dance song. So okay, and at the end of this translation, U.Blog says the album overall was not quite self-therapy, but even listening to a song like Michi gave herself strength. She's never felt such a strong feeling of wanting people to hear her music. I'm also really glad to read that. Yeah, Anthony in the chat is saying maybe the album version will be different. That's possible that they have remixed it or done new instrumentals for the album. That would be interesting. I kind of have a feeling if that were the case, they would have said that though. I don't know. We will wait and see, of course. So what was I saying? Yeah. She's never felt such a strong feeling of wanting people to hear music. That made me so glad that she did end up doing this album, because, you know, when she first went on hiatus, she said she wasn't sure if she ever would return to music again. And it just makes me really glad that she felt compelled to make music and also make it into an album for her fans to hear, because that just means that it's really important to her and that it's important for other people to hear it as well. You know, like she tweeted years ago that she had made songs, but they were never released. And it's one thing to just make a song for fun if you're a songwriter or a singer, but another thing to actually compile a whole album about this huge tragic event in your life and then also feel the need to share with everyone. And, you know, like me and some other fans have made jokes that she just ran out of money and whatnot, but just from that statement, I feel like this album is really, really an important one, and it's going to have a lot of significance to both her, and that's going to and to the fans that will translate to us as well. That wasn't a good sentence, I apologize, but yeah, then what does it say? She's planning on continuing music after this album, but she doesn't think she'll be able to make something like this again. Again, I'm so glad to read that she is planning on making music again after this. There's a good chance that we won't get another album after this for another few years. That was her trend for releases even when she wasn't on a hiatus. But hopefully it'll be less than 5 years, 5.5 years, like this hiatus has been. And I mean, it's obvious she won't be able to make an album like Fantôme again, because this album is obviously based on her mother's death, and that's a one-time event. So hopefully no more tragedies befall Utada Hikaru, and you know, she continues to make her masterpiece albums, and I'm willing to wait however many years it takes. And I know a lot of you guys are too. Yeah, so if you can't find the article, I have tweeted it before. It might be a little bit buried now. Once this goes up, I will edit the description down below to include the original article, so you can check that out if you want to. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything else I wanted to include in that. I guess I have so many mixed feelings about the promo that's being done for this album so far. It seems like they're being really secretive, and there's a part of me that likes that because everything is a surprise as it comes out, and then there's another part of me that is like, well, why? Like, why can't you tell us that the video is coming out, you know, ahead of time, or tell us that Manatsu is going to get another video, or like what other songs are going to get videos? I don't know. To me, I don't know. I wasn't as much of an Utada fan when her previous albums came out. I definitely followed her kind of religiously on MySpace during the This Is the One era, but since that album, there's been so much more developed on the internet. Like, there wasn't Twitter back then. Like, maybe there was, but not many people used it, and there was just, like, Facebook, and a few people used MySpace, and that was about it. And now there's so many more prevalent things, and, like, the news about Utada comes out on Twitter before it comes out on her official website. So I don't know. I feel like, yeah, like I was saying, I just have mixed feelings. Like, it's kind of fun and exciting to be surprised by the promo news, but at the same time, I kind of want to know. Reika in the chat asked, do you think she will tour for this album at all? Oh my god, I am praying every day and night that she will tour this album. At the very least, do like a TV live performance of 2 of the singles or something like that. At this point, I don't think she has talked about her vocal damage and if she has healed from that. So obviously her voice sounds pretty good on the singles. However, if you, I haven't watched the Wildlife actual recording in a while, but if you watch the live stream at the time, her vocal damage was quite noticeable. I'm not sure if they, because she had 2 shows, they could have just cut between the shows that, or the tracks that were stronger from each show. But if you're watching the live stream during the first show, there's a few songs where her vocal damage was quite apparent. You could tell she was struggling very hard to hit certain notes, especially high notes. There were some parts where it seemed like she had just lost her voice completely. It honestly was like kind of painful to watch. So yeah, she hasn't brought up that issue at all, I don't think, since she started doing the promo for this album. And I'm really interested to know if her voice has healed from that, if she's somehow controlled that. Because obviously it's one thing for an edited, put together track to not have any like messed up notes in her voice on it. That's quite different than a live performance. So yeah, right now I would say either way goes for if there will be a tour. Utada Hikaru has always said that she's more of an artist and songwriter. She always preferred to be in her studio rather than performing live. Even when she wasn't a very active artist, she only did like a handful of TV performances. She's only done a few tours, so yeah. I would say right now it's a 50-50 chance, but I'm really hoping for it. I'm hoping to hear at least one live performance, and if she toured and released that, that would be amazing. Okay. Rega says, let's hope it's okay so she can bless us with her performance. Yeah, I hope she's doing well, and her voice is doing well, I mean. And yeah, so she's planning on continuing with music after this album. So I'm looking forward to that. I am so looking forward to this album. It's like, it's kind of unprecedented for music that I've been looking forward to. Like, the amount of anticipation for this is massive. So I mean, I'm not getting nervous about it. I know it'll be good. So yeah, I think I talked myself out. I thought I would have a lot more to say than that, but yeah. I think that's all for today, you guys. Thank you for showing up to live stream. I didn't think anyone would be here, but yeah, thanks for coming out. I'm planning on doing another live stream later this month, probably the day after the album comes out. So I want to do like a listening party live stream where basically everyone who's gotten the album will just sort of talk about the tracks as we're listening to it. And again, it'll be kind of like at the beginning of the stream where I can't really share the audio. I will have to just listen through headphones, I guess, which sucks. So yeah, if you guys, again, if you didn't catch my video from yesterday, it is up on my Facebook page because it got blocked by YouTube. And that was my initial reaction to the short version of the new music video. And also my comic is updating every Tuesday and Thursday. The link is down below. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll probably see you next week with a new video. So bye.